Awesome. So we had a nice overview about what OOPS is and what are the main pillars of OOPS and how we can use OOPS in Apex. Now let's go ahead and create our very first Apex class. And this time I'm going to use the Salesforce setup instead of developer console to create my class. So click on this gear icon and then click on this setup option here. Although you can create your Apex class in developer console as well, but I just want to give you an overview of all the tools available for us to write Apex code in Salesforce. So let's go to our setup tab here and search for Apex class. And here you will see multiple options like developer console. So this button is going to open the developer console so that you can start doing your development work in the developer console instead of doing it here, or else you can create a new class right here itself. We should not be worried about the rest of the option for now. We are going to explore them later on. So let's click on this new button. Okay, so once you click on this new button, it's going to open this editor, and here you can start writing your Apex code. So in this video, we are going to keep it very simple and we are going to create our very first Apex class and we will name it as Hello World. Remember, the very first thing that we learn in any programming language is how to write Hello World or how to print Hello World. So let's unzoom our page a bit and zoom our font size. This is the max that we can do. So if you remember from our previous video, to create a class in Apex, you need to use a special keyword called class. And after that, you need to give your class name. So here our class name will be Hello World. So that's what we are going to write here. And then you need to start your curly braces. So this will be the scope of your class so that compiler can know from which line your class is starting and where the definition of the class is ending. So like our class declaration statement is starting from line 1 and we are ending our curly braces on line 4. So anything that we are going to write within line 1 to 4 is going to be a class scope, and our compiler will know that all these properties or methods belongs to this particular class. And here in this class, we are going to declare a string variable and we are going to name it as greeting, the way we did in our previous videos when we were printing hello world. And let's initialize this greeting variable with the value hello world. So this statement right here creates a new property or new variable within the class. So now this greeting variable belongs to hello world class and you cannot directly use it outside this class. So if you want to reach to this greeting variable, first you need to reach to this hello world and then only you can reach out to this greeting variable. So to understand it in real life, let's say you want to get some belongings from your office desk, but to reach your office desk, first you need to reach office. So here your office is a class where your desk is a variable. And this is also called encapsulation. And this is how it works in Apex. Now let's save our code and see if we are getting any kind of error or not. To save your code, you can directly click on this save button here. And we have got an error here. And it says the top level must have public or global visibility. And it's talking about this class because our top level container is the class here and the variable is just within that class. So in Salesforce, you cannot create a class without assigning it a access modifier. And it could be either public or global. You cannot create a private class. So we must define a access modifier before our keyword class. We are going to assign our class the public modifier for now, and we are going to talk about these access modifiers in our coming videos. So you will get the clear understanding of what exactly this public means and what exactly the private and global means. Now let's go ahead and try to save our class once again. So you can also use this quick save option, which kind of lets you stay on the same page and save your class quickly. So we are able to save our class this time without any issue. But what is the meaning of this class? It only has a property. How can we use this property and print the greeting? For that, we need to define a method in this class. And again, we are going to talk about these methods in detail in our coming videos. So first, let's start with the method name. And we are going to call our method as print greeting. And after each method, you need to define the parentheses. So these opening and closing braces here. And then the method scope with the help of curly braces. So again, we are going to write our curly braces here. And now anything that you are going to write between these two curly braces will belong to this method. And this method itself belongs to the hello world class. So remember how container works here. Here our hello world class is the parent container or the topmost container. And the print greeting method is also a container which is going to have its own variables or maybe some statements. And we are going to write a statement here called system debug, and let's print our greeting. So directly copy this greeting here and print it. Now remember how I'm using the variable here in my method. We are not reaching out to our hello world again and then using our greeting here. Since this greeting variable belongs to the hello world class, we can directly use it anywhere within these curly braces or within the class scope. So you don't have to reach out to the class again actually because you are already within the class. So that's it. Now let's try to save it and let's see if we get any error or not. Again, we have got an error, and this time about invalid constructor name print greeting at line 4, column 5. And the reason being, we are not using any kind of return type in front of this method. So each and every method in most of the programming languages are supposed to return something. If they don't want to return anything, then at least return void. So what does it mean? So since this is a very simple method which only prints a statement, you don't want to return anything. But let's see if you have a method called add two numbers and you are going to supply two numbers to that method. Then you expect a return output from that method and that will be the sum of those two numbers. So that's why each and every method must have a return type. Since our method is simple enough and it doesn't want to return anything, so what you need to do, you need to define a void return type in front of your method name. And it's a must. Without a return type, you cannot declare or define a method. Now let's try to save our class again and see if we are still getting any error. And this time we are able to save our code. The reason I was showing you those errors is so that you know which statement or which keyword is required where and what is the use of these statements or keywords and how you can use them in Apex. So now our class has a property or a variable called greeting, and then we have a behavior as well or a method, or you can also call it a function which prints this property value. Now the next thing is how we can run this code. You cannot directly run this code the way we did in our anonymous window in developer console. So what you need to do, you need to access this class first and then call this method. So for that, let's go to our developer console and from there we are going to call this method. Let me clear everything. Let me zoom the screen a bit. And if you want to see your Apex class here in developer console, what you can do, you can click on open and here under the classes, you can select your hello world class, which is available now and click on open. And you can see all your code here as well. So now we need to call this print greeting method from this Apex class. For that, let's open our anonymous window, clear everything that we already have here. So remember, before reaching to this print greeting method, you first need to reach to this hello world class. So if you remember our list or set videos, we were using the new keyword to create a new list or create a new set or create a new map. So very similar to those list, set and map, our hello world is also a class, and to create an instance of this class or to create a new hello world variable, you need to use your new keyword. So let's write our class name first and let's name our variable as first class. And then we need to use our new keyword so that we can create a new instance of this class. Again, we need to copy our class name and then the parentheses. Very similar to how we did in our list, set or map videos. Let's write down a comment here and it says initialize hello world class so that we can access all the methods and properties within that class. So now we have reached to our hello world class. The next step would be to reach to this print greeting method. So let's try that. So we have our class variable right here. And if you remember from our list, set or map videos, we can use a dot here to actually access the methods from that class. So we are going to write first class dot print greeting, and this is how we are going to access our print greeting method. Let's copy our method name and call it like this. So let's see what is the output that we get. Let's execute our code. And we have got an error that method is not visible. And the reason being, we haven't assigned a access modifier to our print greeting method. So like the way we assigned a access modifier to our class, our print greeting method also needs to have an access modifier or a public or global access modifier if we want to access this print greeting method outside this class. So if we make our print greeting method a public method, so you can use your access modifier even before the return type of statement. So the first keyword will be the access modifier. It's optional. If you want to access your print greeting method within the class itself, then you can leave it as blank or maybe make it private. But if you want to access it outside the class, then you either need to give it as public or global. Then you need to type the return type of the method, which is void. It doesn't return anything. Then the method name, and this is how you define a method. Now let's save our code. And to save our code within the developer console, you can click on this file menu and click on save here. Or you could directly use Control S in Windows or Command S in Mac OS. So we have saved our class. Let's go to our setup option as well. And if you reload this page, you would see the changes being reflected here as well. So we see our public keyword reflected here as well. So let's go back to developer console and execute our print greeting method again. And this time we are able to run our code. And let's check the debug only. And we see hello world in the output. So this was a pretty basic Apex class. We are going to make it complex with coming videos. But before that, we need to learn about a lot of things like access modifiers and methods. So in coming few videos, we are going to cover the access modifiers and methods in detail. And then we will start building more Apex classes with more real world scenarios.